Frederick William Victor Albert, later known as Kaiser Wilhelm II, was born in Berlin in 1859 to Princess Victoria and German Emperor Frederick III. Wilhelm II had a traumatic birth and was unfortunately born with a disability that made his left arm smaller and essentially useless. Wilhelm blamed this on his mother, and historians believe that this is where Wilhelm's hatred for the British started, which grew even stronger due to a British physician that practiced electrotherapy and other absurd procedures on the future Kaiser. The Kaiser was known to be intelligent, but had a quick temper and a very strong personality. This later caused problems in his reign, such as the Daily Telegraph affair, where the Kaiser publicly offended the British by saying,
"You English are mad. Mad as marches."
Wilhelm II didn't align much with the British ideals of democracy and liberalism, but much rather preferred the German standards of nationalism and traditionalism. Wilhelm wanted a stronger Germany to compete with his cousins Tsar Nicholas II and George V, which he believed was achievable by growing German industries, military, and navy. The constitution of the new German Empire made the Kaiser the most powerful figure in Germany, as Wilhelm was in absolute control of the army, foreign policy, and was able to appoint the Chancellor, who ran the government and was able to propose new legislation. Under the Chancellor was the Bundesrat, representatives from each German state who consented to the laws passed by the Chancellor. These, however, could be overruled by the Kaiser. And finally, there's the Reichstag, who were elected every 3 years, or 5 after 1888, and could pass or reject legislation handed down by the Bundesrat. The Kaiser's dream of a stronger Germany became true as it had an economic boom from 1890 to 1924, and by the start of the 20th century, Germany was mainland Europe's most powerful nation. Iron and coal production in Germany doubled, and Germany now produced 2/3 of Europe's steel. This economic boom also saw the creation of new exciting industries, such as chemical and electrical manufacturing. This rapid industrialization, however, wasn't all good for the Kaiser, as due to an increase in the working class and poor working conditions, the people now wanted change. This led to a rise in socialism, and in particular, the rise of the Social Democratic Party of Germany, also known as the SPD. The rise of the SPD was evident, and its seats in the Reichstag increased from 11 in 1887 to 81 by 1903. By 1914, 3.3 million people were involved with trade unions in Germany. This was a big threat to the Kaiser and his power, and the possibility of a socialist revolution threatened Germany. Out of fear of promoting socialist ideals, the government didn't pass any reform, which made it even worse as people got angrier and supported more radical political parties. This was an endless cycle for the Kaiser, as passing socialist legislation made socialist ideas more popular, and not passing any legislation made socialist ideas even more popular. So what was the Kaiser's response? War. The Kaiser hoped to distract the people by passing a series of laws to encourage nationalism and military pride, as his Workers' Protection Act of 1891 wasn't enough. Wilhelm hoped to increase his support with the idea of Weltpolitik, which was imperialist foreign policy that expanded Germany's armed forces and its territory. This wasn't enough, which motivated the Kaiser to pass the Navy Law in 1898. The main goal of the Navy Laws was to build and improve Germany's naval fleet to compete with its mortal enemy, the British and its mighty Royal Navy, which had dominated the seas for the past century. However, the secret main objective of the Navy Laws was propaganda to increase patriotism and decrease the popularity of radical parties such as the SPD. This was very successful, as the SPD lost 36 seats in 1907. The Navy Laws were effective, and Germany increased its number of battleships to 19 by 1903. This caught the eye of the British, who answered by designing a powerful ship that had never been seen before, the HMS Dreadnought. This started an arm race as Germany answered by ordering the construction of 8 dreadnoughts. This worried the British, who ordered 11 more dreadnoughts. The Germans didn't slow down and only offered to stop the arms race if the British entered an alliance with them. Britain's final answer came thanks to the idea of Winston Churchill, who created a program that produced 2 dreadnoughts for every one produced by the Germans. The naval arms race was overall won by the British, as by 1914, Germany had only produced 17 dreadnoughts, and Britain 29. The naval laws worsened Anglo-German relations, and it is argued that it possibly led to World War I as we know it, as it pushed Germany closer to Austria-Hungary and the British closer to the French and the Russians. Thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing the video.